Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi. So last time Shion went to school as Mion and then chaos erupted I guess. Shion couldn't control her emotions. Once she saw Satoko crying, she actually confronted her, threw some stuff at her, and then she and Satoshi fought as well, right? And then later on, Satoshi asked Shion, or I guess Mion Shion, if he could, or they, or she could bring Satoko to the Watanagashi festival. So maybe today we're gonna go Watanagashi festival. We'll see, we'll see. Okay, let's continue. Let's do it. Maybe or maybe not. The day of the Watanagashi festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. What was I doing today? Nothing in particular? Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a light headache, so I lay down on the sofa. So I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I already told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked her to look after Satoko. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. That would be all I had to deal with. June 20th, it's 5:02 p.m. now. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute, but people stopped looking coldly upon her even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her, and so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers. And the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first? Their poor relationships with the neighbors. Or her husband's affairs. She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She in turn claimed that the relationship with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged her reputation. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. Then the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why didn't they get a divorce, their marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was the fortune his parents had left. Ooh. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband to access them. So her husband would search the house for them. She'd find out he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had done much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the dam project. Yeah, maybe they got paid, right? His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. They had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed the existence, they appeared to adopt Satoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress' home. He realized that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustrations upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship. So if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. And another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must be talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing, since she lost an opponent to fight. Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred towards his siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Satoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in their aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him though. He bore so much he covered for his little sister. By lying and maneuvering, he tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Satoko and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. He passed by the street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He'd found a plain looking desk of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. I mean, it is obvious. Look at her house inside, man. She had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. Oh, I guess he baited her here. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in their drawers, so she'd always open them to check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There he laid something he'd been carrying all the time until today. It'd be very hard to find unless he specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. Dude, this is basically how Keiichi did it with his as well, right? He planned all this stuff on what to do. Then baited the uncle to come, right?
Hey, Oyaji!
Here we go. Watanagashi Festival.
今年も来たね。また根こそぎかっさらってくから覚悟しときなよ。
園崎のお嬢ちゃんは今年も元気がいいな。そっちの子は新顔かい？
この子はね、竜宮レナ。こう見えてても結構やるよ。
そんなことないよ。よろしくお願いしますね。
おう、こっちこそよろしくな。今年もいろいろ景品を持ってきたんだぜ。もちろん真剣勝負だ。根こそぎ持ってけるもんなら持ってけってんだ。
レナは可愛いものには目がないのですよ。
ああ、あのぬいぐるみとそっちのぬいぐるみはレナの好みだね。
Dude, I miss this.
かいいね。ほもち帰り。
ダメだよ、まだ準備中だよ。おい。
レナ、ダメ。まだ準備中だってさ。ちゃんと開店したら根こそぎさらってやりな。
もうダメだよ。レナのものなんだよ。お持ち帰り。
Rena lost her marbles over the stuffed animal and everybody laughed. Everybody except Satoko. Oh my god. Her eyes is still like this. She was standing by herself some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull.
なんなんですのリカ。
Rika walked up to Satoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up.
今日は何も考えなくていいのですよ。いっぱい楽しく過ごしましょうなのです。
Satoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change.
さとこ、意地悪なおばさんは今日はお祭りにはそんなことは分かってますわ。
Okay, sorry, I accidentally clicked it.
ならいっぱい笑っていっぱい楽しくなるのですよ。みぱー、みぱー、みぱー。あいにくですけど、そういう気分になれませんの。申し訳ございませんけど、放っておいてくださいませ。どうしてさとこは笑いませんですか？
Satoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt, no matter how fun the festival was. Once she went home, her aunt would be there, yeah. You have fun a little bit, and then later you're back to reality, I suppose. The aunt would find something wrong with Satoko, get mad, and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun even just for today while knowing all that? Satoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika.
ではさとこ、さとこの辛いのが今日でおしまいになるなら、さとこは笑ってくれますですか？
Okay. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Sadako knew there was really nothing Rika could do. Even so, after just one moment of freedom, Satoko fell into depression again.
リカ、くだらない気休めは聞きたくないですわ。さとこ。
Rika's voice was clearer than Satoko had ever heard before.
もう決まっていることなのです。
Ooh, it's the serious Rika's voice. The mature Rika voice, I mean. June 20th, 1982, 8:11 p.m. Satoshi snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 p.m. After the Watanagashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. So there were two types of people in Hinamizawa. The people who would go home for dinner and the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbors in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody in the streets. On that night, the small village seemed especially desolate. And I was thinking about this raffle drawing, man. I was like, when you go and wait for the raffle, and when you're there, you don't get picked. And then when you go home, people are gonna say, "Oh, you got picked by the way, but They picked another one because they were not there. It's always like that. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he would keep worrying until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted but started running without hesitation. He felt as though he became a wild animal running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Not only his running ability, his vision, his hearing. And his sense of smell. All his senses were keener, including the sixth sense. He could almost sense the presence of people in the distance, if only when crouching like an animal. It felt strange, as though he had stepped into another world. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear. But now he felt as though he had metamorphosed into a different person. June 20th, 1982, 8:37 p.m.
それではお楽しみ抽選会の説明をこれより始めますのでどうぞ皆さん櫓の周りにお集まりくださいな
The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Okay, let's see. Both women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they'd held a raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onward to attract more people to the festival. So what are the prizes though? Tell us. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated, but Oreo, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had them thrown away. Oreo took the initiative and brought a brand new TV, a washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things for the raffle. I mean, her family is rich, extremely rich. The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Oreo was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough in her opinion. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of the equal value the following year, so this might be the very first and last raffle.
おりょうさんのおかげで本当なすんばらしい商品になったね。
We're seeing them again. Like, look at them. They have portraits.
だいぶかかったんじゃないの？運営費で立て替えするよ。
Mr. Mayor.
すったらうな程度で建て替えなんてアホらしい。銭金の問題じゃないんね。たく。
まあまあそう言わないで。お嬢さんのおかげでできた抽選会なんだから。
こんな私一人でどうにかすりゃええんちゅうわけとちゃいねや。パホクサ。
The mayor, Kumiyoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Oreo. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. He looked upset, so Kumiyoshi assumed that somebody probably got hurt in an accident.
どうしたの牧野さん。そんなに息を弾ませたら心臓が破れちゃうよ。
Makino, we first saw him in Chapter 4. Kumiyoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, looked tense. He whispered something to Kumiyoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kumiyoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news.
お嬢さん、悪い話なんだけどいいかい？
Kumiyoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Orio's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kumiyoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino told him.
いやはや、参ったよな。
参るも参らんもなんね。
But yeah, did it happen already? Did Satoshi end his aunt already?
3度あっちゃんは4度あるっちゅうこっちゃな。
I guess it happened.
お嬢さん、そりゃ笑えないや。
面白い話でもなんでもなぎゃ。面倒が増えただけっちゃね。
警察が今身元を調べてるらしい。どうも相当顔面をやられてるらしくて身元の特定が難しそうなんだと。
顔がわからんでもおおよその想像はつくっちゃな。
え？ 心当たりがあるのかい？
Oreo glared at Kimiyoshi, then started chuckling.
バーカが。綿流しの祭りにも顔を見せん。不信心者に決まっとろうがね。ちゃんとお社様を敬って祭りに来ちょるんは。そんな目には合わなんとよ。
Oreo kept laughing. Kimiyoshi and Makino didn't know how to react. June 20th, 1982, 9:04 p.m. Oh,
しかし
Kumagai. I think it's the first time we see Kumagai, right? Yeah, Oishi.
こりゃ無残なもんっすね。
クマちゃん、
Kuma-chan.
死に方ってのは本人が望んだものでない限りどんなでも無残なもんです。お悔やみ申し上げちゃいますよ。そっちどう？ポッケの中身とか個人が特定できそうなものは？
The forensic investigators shook their heads.
サンダル履きで服装もラフ。
But it's so fast though. Like for example, Satoshi just did it, right? And then like 30 minutes later, they found out already?
近くにお住まいの方でしょうね。服装の特徴から周辺に聞き込みをすればすぐに割れそうっすね。
Like it's instant, like so fast, I mean.
それしかないな。課長からこの山一区捜査してかかりそうだからって脅されてます。その辺注意してくださいよ。
了解っす。
Kumagai gathered some officers and gave them directions.
入江先生が到着しました。先生、あそこです。
A young doctor got out of his car and headed in the victim's direction.
どうも
Oh, Irie.
遅れて申し訳ありません。
Kanteku.
抽選会の手伝いの最中だったもので。
先生、今日の祭りでだいぶ飲んでたでしょう。アルコール本当に抜けてます？後で風船でも膨らましてもらっちゃおうかな。
ご安心を。運転はスタッフに代わってもらってますので。
そりゃ卒がない。おい、先生通してあげて。
There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Oishi and Irie pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. The blood spatters and the bloody sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk and indicated with small alphabetized plates.
こういうものは見慣れませんね。
Irie took out a handkerchief and covered his nose.
匂いがダメな時は口呼吸にするんですよ。まあこういう匂いは目でも嗅げちゃうかな。ね。
The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like a middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain it was a middle-aged woman was because the face, yeah. But yeah, completely pulverized. Jesus Christ.
ひどい。
Brutal.
十中八九怨恨の線でしょうな。血痕とサンダル裏から見てここで殺したのは間違いないでしょう。でも見ての通りここは人通りが少ないと言ったって往来のど真ん中です。ここで頭部がひしゃげるまで殴り続けたってのはちょいとまともな話じゃないですからね。
I mean the amount of hatred, that's why.
でね、ほら腕とか見てみてください。
Oishi put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arm.
腕は綺麗なもんでしょ
What do you mean spotless?
それはつまり腕で防いだとか抵抗したとかそういう痕跡がないという意味ですね。
Oh, he's checking if there were bruises if she defended herself. Okay.
さすが高学歴。仏さんはおそらく最初の一撃で脳震盪かなんかで気絶したんじゃないかと思うんです。で、星は確実に殺した手応えを得るためにさらに打撃を加えた。さらに言えば仏さんはその時うつ伏せに倒れたように思うんですよね。ねえ、服の汚れ具合からの勘ですが。
遺体は仰向けですね。
星は後頭部を散々潰して明らかに頭蓋骨が砕けてる手応えを得ているにもかかわらずわざわざ顔面を潰してるんじゃないかと思うんですよ。
Yurei looked like he was going to throw up, but because of the putrid smell and Oishi's reasoning.
遺体の顔面を殴るってのは私の経験じゃかなり怨恨の線が強いです。
I mean, it's definitely grudge. Come on.
それもだいぶ濃厚な濃密なね。ってことはつまり星は仏のかなり近辺にいるのは間違いないかと。
私を呼んだのが救命活動ではないということはよくわかりました。
Resuscitate her.
先生、この人が誰かわかりますかね。わかれば聞き込みの手間がだいぶ省けるんですがね。
Yurei looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then after a while, Yurei left the investigation area without saying anything.
すみません。私にはわかりかねます。
本当に？
Maybe he knew. I think Irie knows, I mean, who that is. Oishi smirked and looked into Irie's eyes, as though Irie was hiding something.
別に隠してなんかいません。
Irie is serious.
先生もアルコールがまだ抜けきってないだけですよ。頭が冴えたら思い出すかもしれません。思い出したら教えてくださいね。
Oishi tapped Irie on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kuma-chan returned.
おいさん、課長から無線です。
It's nice, honestly, that seeing Kuma like this, like seeing Oishi's partner.
1号車の無線っす。
入江の先生、ごまかしたな。いえ、こっちの話。仏の聞き込み急いでください。ほぼ間違いなくこの近くにお住まいです。
June 20th, 1982, 9:39 p.m.
おいさん、連れてきました。
どうも。こんな夜更けに申し訳ありませんね。明日も学校なのに本当に申し訳ないです。
いえ。
Oh, Satoshi.
お父さんはどちらへ？
うちの寄付はあまり帰ってきませんので。
おお。いつ頃から？最後に帰ってきたのはいつ？
さあ、義母と喧嘩しているのを聞く限りは、沖宮でどこかのキャバレーの人と同棲してるとかなんとか。
What? Maybe he means uncle. Wait, what?
最後に会ったのはあまり覚えてないんですけど、先々週ぐらいだったかもしれません。
Why did it say stepfather though? Is it wrong translation or is that really what he said?
お父さんの連絡先はわかります？
Yeah, but then again, Oishi's saying Otosan.
いえ、
キャバレーの人と同居してるって言いましたよね。なんてお店かわかります？
いえ、沖宮のどこかにあるとしか知りません。
お父さんの名前は？
北条哲平です。
I mean, I guess you can say that they're his guardians, right? So, maybe? I don't know. Oishi signaled Kumagai with his chin, who nodded while taking notes.
お父さんとお母さんはあまり仲良くなかったですか？
程度の度合いはわかりませんが、
But he's saying Otosan and Okasan, that means mom and dad.
よくはなかったと思います。
It should have been aunt and uncle.
率直に聞いて申し訳ないですけど、お母さんに恨みを持っていた人間とか知っていたら教えてほしいんですがね。
よくわからないです。
そうですか。じゃあもしも思い出したらでいいので、その時は教えてくださいね。これ私の名刺です。ここに電話番号ありますので。
はい。
じゃあ後日またいろいろとお話を伺うこともあるかもしれません。もしもお父さんと連絡がつきましたら、沖宮警察署の大石まで至急ご連絡をとお伝えください。くまちゃん、北条さんを自宅まで送ってあげてください。
あ、いえ、一人で帰れますから。
いえいえ、そんなこと言わずにぜひ送らせてくださいな。お母さんを襲った犯人がまだ近くにいる可能性があるんですよ。あなたもまた狙われない保証なんてないんですからね。
お気遣いありがとうございます。でも本当に結構ですね。
Satoshi tried to reject the offer, but Oishi and Kuma-chan insisted. In the end, Satoshi was forced to accept. Kuma-chan. He turned around to leave when Oishi spoke to him as if he remembered something he'd forgotten to say.
北条さん。
はい。
大丈夫ですよ。心配しないでください。犯人はすぐに捕まりますよ。
手がかりとかあるんですか？
ありますよ。
どんなですか？
捜査上の秘密ですよ。ね。
Ordinary people might think that Oishi was trying to cheer that poor kid up with a joke.
いえね。人を殺すってのはかなり感情の高ぶるもんなんですよ。そりゃ冷静に殺してみせるロボットみたいなのも稀にいますがね。
感情が高ぶると何？
人は極限まで感情が高ぶるといろいろ体に反応が出ます。発汗とか脱毛とかね。殺人現場に犯人の毛髪が落ちているってことは割とあることなんですよ。まあここは屋外ですからね。現場が絨毯の上ってのとはだいぶ勝手が違いますが。
犯人の毛髪は拾えたんですか？
さあね。鑑識の連中が大列組んでさっきから行ったり来たりしていろいろ探してます。まだ結果待ちでね。何が出るやら今から楽しみですよ。
明日があるので今夜はもう帰ります。
そうなさってください。くまちゃん、 送ってあげてください。
了解っす。
では北条さん、また近いうちに進展があったらお知らせしますよ。北条さんも何か思い出したりしたらぜひ教えてくださいね。憎き母の仇の逮捕に協力してまいりましょう。
Oishi the man. Honestly, Oishi, like, some chapters, he's really good. I really liked him in some chapters, and then some chapters he's kind of... Like the third chapter for Oishi, right? He was pretty much, yeah, he was hurting Keiichi there. When you first met him at school, right? And then later on, when Keiichi was looking for the body, right? And then the fourth chapter, Oishi was really good. I really liked him there. Sis called the morning after Watanagashi festival to tell me that the curse had struck again for the fourth time. The victim was the evil aunt who was harassing Satoshi-kun and Satoko. Satoshi-kun's suffering should be over now, since the problem was with Satoko and the aunt's relationship to begin with. Maybe I should have celebrated, but I wasn't in the mood for some reason.
犯人ってもう警察は目星をつけてるのかな。
Sis went quiet when I asked that.
さあね。大石の野郎がしつこく聞き込みをして回ってるみたい。犯人は近しい人間に違いないと思ってるようだね。
Being identical twins, Sis and I think very much alike. If I suspected Satoshi-kun of being the murderer, so would she. Because of this, I didn't have to mention the obvious.
サトシ君って祭りの日にアリバイあります？どうだろう。はあ。
I heaved a huge sigh.
バカですね。サトシ君は祭りに来ていた。そういうことでいいじゃないですか。そうだよね。気が利かなくてごめん。
I heaved another sigh. Sis was stupid enough to forget to make an alibi for him, even though the murder of his aunt alone would raise enough suspicion.
じゃあ、やっぱり、サトシが？サトシ君が殺したかどうかが問題じゃないでしょ？サトシ君が犯行の時間帯にアリバイがあったかが重要なんです。ったく。後で警察がうちに来るみたいだから、来たらサトシは祭りで一緒だったって言うよ。お姉、取ってつけた嘘なんか何の役にも立たないです。何も手を打たなかったなら、今さら小細工しても無駄ってことです。せいぜい正直に喋ってください。
I can't trust your acting skills.
お姉は芝居が下手なんだから、変に意識するとかえって勘ぐられますからね。ごめん。
She sounded depressed. I was the one who should have been depressed. Mian usually handles things well, but she's not good with the emergencies. I was left worried for the future of the Sonozaki family. Mian must have been embarrassed. She soon changed the subject.
シオン、最近はあまりバイトに行けてなかったでしょ。ご検察痛み入ります。おかげさまで。ごめん。今日は私、夜まで姿を隠してるから、バイトに出られるんじゃない？
Sis had been appearing in public places during festival preparations and whatnot. As a result, I hadn't been able to pretend to be her. I hadn't been able to work. As someone who had to support myself, it was a bit of a pain. To be honest, I didn't feel like working, but I couldn't afford to be sitting around either. When I locked my apartment door before leaving, the door of the next apartment over opened and Kasai appeared. Why, he's living next door?
お出かけですか？
そんなとこです。お姉が姿を隠してくれるそうなんで、久々にバイトに出ます。葛西、 暇だったらおじさんの店まで車を出してもらってもいい？
What is this little door in this one? What is this?
シオンさん、しばらくはバイトを控えられた方がよろしくはないですか？事件のせいで警察は園崎家界隈を監視しているようですし、あまり姿を表に出さない方がいいのではないかと思います。
お気遣いは嬉しいけど、バイトしないと食費もないわけですし。
Kasai might suggest he donate money to my cause. However, I had sworn to myself when I started living here that I wouldn't depend on Kasai. While I don't obey anyone else's rules, I stick to my own. Kasai could tell that I was adamant in my decision. So after repeating himself a couple of times as a formal procedure, he decided to give me a ride after all. Every time we went to my uncle's store by car, we stopped at this traffic light. I knew it was going to happen again, but it still irritated me. Pedestrians passed by in front of the car. I was startled to see that one of them looked like Satoshi-kun. It was him. Though I'd spoken with him on the phone just a couple of days before, it had been a while since I last saw him.
葛西、悪いけどおじさんに、やっぱ今日のバイトは行けなくなったって伝えてくれる？私、ここで降ります。
え？シオンさん。
Kasei looked taken aback, but I got out of the car regardless. The light turned green. The car behind him honked while Kasei was shouting at me, so he had to start moving. Satoshi-kun was on his bike, but he was going really slowly, so I caught up with him in a flash and tapped him in the back.
ハロロー。沖宮で会うなんて奇遇ですね、サトシ君。
If I talked to him with a smile, he might smile back. So I smiled as brightly as I could.
Mio.
He looked tired as always. But as I could tell, he was trying to smile back. My worry suddenly disappeared. I was certain I looked happy. I was aware of that myself, so it must have been obvious to Satoshi-kun.
何があったか知らないけど、ミオンが楽しそうだね。
ええ、楽しいですよ。サトシ君の機嫌が良さそうなので、私も釣られて機嫌が良くなっただけです。
When I teased him, he looked a bit embarrassed. It was like we were back in the good old days. I felt even happier than before.
サトシ君こそ何かあったんですか？何か機嫌が良くなるようないいことがありましたか？
いいことなんかないよ。おばさんが亡くなって、警察とかご近所とかいろいろ大変だよ。
I might have asked something dumb. He seemed to be okay with it though. He frowned a bit at first, but Satoshi-kun continued smiling gently. He looked worn out but satisfied, like he had accomplished something great. That was the mood I sensed from him. So I was convinced. The one who killed that wicked aunt who tormented Satiko was him. I had absolutely no proof, but I knew it intuitively. So I omitted all those questions. I knew Satoshi-kun's motive for killing his aunt and how badly he was driven into a corner. I knew the environment and the situation he was in. And I knew Satoshi-kun's feelings. I knew all of that. I omitted all those questions. I wanted to celebrate his release from that curse, so I smiled like nothing was different as I asked.
サトシ君はどこかへお出かけですか？あ、バイトかな？
正解。その前に寄り道なんだけどね。
寄り道？
毎日ちゃんとショーケースにあるのを確認しないとなんだか不安で。
That conversation reminded me. The reason he started his part-time job was to buy Satiko a huge teddy bear. It was being sold at the toy store just down the street. I recalled that the teddy bear was, very expensive. Satiko's birthday was right after the festival. I wasn't sure what day though. Wait, didn't he say he quit his job? Maybe he was going to greet his ex-co-workers and clean out his locker or something. Either way, he'd completely free very soon. Maybe he hadn't been paid, and that's why he wanted to check if they still had the teddy bear. Maybe he was only getting paid on Satoko's birthday. Oh yeah, he disappeared on Satoko's birthday, right? So it's very close. When we got near the toy store, he rushed to the display window. He looked relieved that it hadn't been sold yet. Did they say how much it was? I think they said 100,000, I think, right?
よかったよかった。
I mean, it's super expensive. No one is gonna buy that, of course.
大丈夫。ちゃんとあるよ。
買えるだけのお金は稼げてるわけですよね。なら予約とかしちゃえばいいのに。
He probably hadn't thought of that. He really did need someone to look after him. I looked into the display window over his shoulder. The teddy bear wasn't that cute in my opinion. It looked huge and cramped in the middle of the store showcase. Really, it looked more like a display model than an item for sale.
値札がついてないけど、これ本当に売り物なんですか？これ一体いくらするんです？
売り物なのは確認したから間違いないよ。
値段は？予算は大丈夫？
大丈夫だよ。ちゃんと確認してあるよ。
Satoshi-kun thought I was teasing him again. He pouted and looked a little sulky.
予算が大丈夫なら問題ないじゃないですか。なら予約しちゃいましょう。その方がサトシ君も心の荷が下りていいでしょうしね。
We entered the store and looked for a clerk.
誰もいないのかな。
そりゃ好都合です。サトシ君、お給料日を待たずにぬいぐるみが手に入るかもですね。
ダメだよミオン。泥棒はいけないよ。
冗談ですって。軽く受け流してほしかったんだけどな。ひょっとして私が盗っ人の真似を平気でできる女だと思ってます？
あ、ごめん。
Satoshi-kun smiled apologetically. I puffed my cheeks to tease him. It had really been a while since the last time we did this. In between those times, many undesirable things happened that I wanted to forget. But now I felt as though all those things simply vanished into the air around us. I found an old person napping in the back. He must be the clerk, I thought. He looked to be fast asleep.
すみません。お店の方ですよね。
I poked his shoulder, but he didn't look like he was going to wake up. When I did that, a middle-aged woman wearing an apron came in.
おじいちゃん、店番頼んだのにすっかり眠りしちゃった。お客さん来てるってのにもうごめんなさいね。うちのおじいちゃんももうすっかりボケちゃって。
The middle-aged woman shook the old man awake and told him to go back to the living room. She went to the cash register after that.
お恥ずかしいところ見せちゃってごめんなさいね。何かお買い上げ？
買うんじゃなくて予約なんですけど、いいですか？あのショーケースの中の一番大きいぬいぐるみなんですけど。
あれ？いいの？値札見た？かなり高いけどお小遣い大丈夫？
はい、ギリギリ足りるはずです。
もうすぐバイトのお給料が入るそうなので、それまで予約したいんですけど。
The woman looked a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually wrote down Satoshi-kun's name and accepted the reservation. Satoshi-kun received a slip of paper.
ね。これでもう誰かに先に買われちゃう心配はもう必要ありません。
うん。お給料がもらえるのはもうすぐなんだけどね。これで安心できる。
He would have kept coming to check every day if he hadn't done this now. He would have spent his time needlessly worrying. Satoshi-kun looked very relieved indeed.
これなら もっと早くに予約をしていればよかったな。
Yeah, at least now he's a little bit happier.
普通の人は欲しいと思ったら即予約します。そういう思考に至らないサトシ君はちょいと希少です。
It's so very fun to tease him. Those painful days seem unbelievable now. Satoshi-kun looked like he'd forgotten everything that happened up until yesterday.
でもありがとう。
Satoshi-kun held out his hand to touch my head. Oh, this is what Shion wanted. Was he going to stroke it? I felt my face reddening already. Even before he touched my head, I felt tingly remembering the last time. I didn't care about the murder or whatever else happened. As long as Satoshi-kun had his freedom, everything would be alright. I'd be content as long as we could live happily from today onward. But Satoshi's hand never reached my hand. I slowly opened my eyes, only to realize the situation had drastically changed. Oh. There were 4 men in suits blocking our way. It looked as though they'd been waiting for us to exit this toy store.
Domo domo.
It's Oishi-kun. Oishi-san. I wish they, what do you call this? They made us hear Oishi's laugh first, that foo-foo-foo laugh before he showed up. So you know, right? I mean, that would have been a nice entrance for him, I suppose, in this situation. I never met this man, but it looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi-kun. He was probably a cop. I ran a search for information in my head and found some right away.
Konnichiwa. Hojo-san, Sonozaki-san. いい雰囲気だったところを邪魔しちゃって実に申し訳ないです。
This must be Cloud Oishi. The cop who's investigating a series of mysterious deaths. He thinks that the Sonozaki family is behind all of the cases. In other words, he's an enemy of the Sonozaki family. He has deep connections with other investigation divisions in the police force and likes to nose around the bushes in the business in this area. He annoys the Sonozaki family enough as it is by interfering with its Yakuza business, let alone his suspicions of the series of mysterious deaths. Naturally, as the family's successor, he's not a welcome figure to Mion Sonozaki. I tried to imagine how Sis would react.
ありゃ、大石さんですか。お仕事ご苦労様です。大の大人が4人も揃って、おもちゃ屋さんに何かご用で？まさかお人形さん買いに来たってわけでもあるまいに。
I know what they want, and it is not a toy. It's probably not me either. They want Satoshi-kun. I took a look at Satoshi-kun. He seemed a bit uncomfortable. The other 3 cops loosely surrounded us to prevent our escape.
Hojo-san. 実はですね、ちょいと伺いたいお話がありまして。
何それ？任意同行ってやつ？サトシ君、こんなのに付き合う必要ないよ。行こう。
I pushed on his shoulder, but he just stood there looking pale and bewildered. Bewildered? No, he actually looked resigned. Then, I recalled Sis's mistake. It's obvious that he killed his aunt from the circumstances. You don't even have to look at the crime scene. How could Mion have failed to create an alibi? That stupid Mion must have spoken to police without making anything up at all. She must have not told them that she knew where Satoshi-kun was. If she hadn't done anything, the villagers wouldn't work to help her. It was just a matter of time until the police uncovered Satoshi-kun's complete lack of an alibi. Okay, what are you gonna do, Shion? The police were trying to corner him and lead him to confess. I looked at Satoshi-kun's face once again. He looked like a dead man. He probably didn't know he could refuse to be interrogated. If he was taken to the station and grilled by Oishi, he'd confess in a minute. Somebody had to protect him. Nobody had ever been there for him. I had to step up now, okay? But how? Would it be possible to alter what Mion had already told him, saying it was a mistake? That wasn't going to work. Yeah, that's not gonna work on a cop, come on. If I had more time, I'd come up with an excellent idea. But I didn't have that much time at all. To pressure him, the cops were drawing nearer. Satoshi-kun must have felt intimidated. He might end up turning himself in due to the pressure while I'm stuck trying to come up with something. I have to do something now. Okay, what can Shion do as Shion? I have to say something. Otherwise, Satoshi-kun might give in. Yeah, the only thing she can do, I guess, is just say that she's Shion and she was with him, right? Because Mion didn't say anything. I have to save him. Oishi drew nearer. Satoshi-kun fell back. He's choking.
大して時間は取らせませんから。そんな怖がらないでください。
It won't take much time? He just said it. He just said he wouldn't let him out if he caught him now. Satoshi-kun, don't give in. If you give in now, everything you've been working for will be ruined. Satoshi-kun looked like he was at his breaking point. Oishi was clearly aware of it. Oishi smirked and held out his arm to grab Satoshi-kun's shoulder. Boom! I felt electrified when I saw that. That hand shouldn't be allowed to touch Satoshi-kun. The moment Oishi touched his shoulder, he'd give in. He'd go to the police station and confess everything.
サトシ君にアリバイがあるか知りたいわけですよね。
Hmm?
Oishi turned his face towards me. His hand left hanging in the air. I wasn't very prepared for this. I just had to stop Oishi no matter what. I only needed to gain something, or some time I mean. And it didn't really matter what I said.
そうですよ。北条聡さんのアリバイが知りたいんです。私たちの捜査がまずいからなのかな。犯行の時間帯にどうしても北条さんのアリバイが見つけられないんですよ。仕方ないから恥を忍んでご本人に直接そのあたりをお伺いしようかと思いましてね。
そんなの本人に聞く必要ないです。私がアリバイ証明しますから。
ありゃ、そりゃ本当。なら助かるな。あの晩園崎さんが神社にいてお祭りの最後まで過ごしていたことはすでにあなたからも聞いているし、その他大勢の方からも証言を得ています。そのあなたがそこで北条さんとも一緒だったと言ってくれるなら一番楽なんですがね。
Yeah, you gotta say you're Shion now.
でもあんた、以前そのあたりをお聞きしたとき、北条さんのことは一言も言ってませんよね。実はいましてって、今頃おっしゃるおつもりで？祭り会場の誰一人、北条さんを見ていないのに、あなただけは見ていたと、そうおっしゃるおつもりで？
そうです。私と一緒にいました。それで十分です。
あなたが仲良しのお友達と終始一緒にいたのは分かっているし、私も会場で実際にお見かけしています。それでも一緒にいたとおっしゃるわけで？そいつはちょっと苦しくない？ん
Oishi approached me with a creepy smile. Was he teasing me because my excuse sounded funny? I didn't think so. He was frustrated due to being interrupted when he was about to catch a big fish.
祭り会場でずっと一緒に遊んでたのに、すっかり忘れてて今頃になって思い出したと、そうおっしゃるおつもり？園崎美音さん。
I did get a little scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I could save Satoshi-kun if I revealed my real identity. I was aware of the risk. Grandma would certainly capture me if I revealed it, so I didn't think of the consequences after that. Page 27.
っていうか、私ミオンじゃないですし。
Dude, this is the same CG, or it looks like the same CG when, what, a second chapter, Watanagashi, right? With Keiichi, yes. But now it's with Satoshi.
だからもともと綿流しになんか行ってません。
Oh, she's wearing this clothes though. I thought she was wearing Mion's clothes.
あ？
サトシ君とは綿流しの晩は沖宮のファミレスでずっとおしゃべりしてました。エンジェルモートって店ですので、どうぞ店長にも確認を取ってください。
Oishi was still smirking, but he apparently felt confused.
あんた何を言ってるの？あんたミオンじゃないなら誰なわけ？
園崎シオンです。ミオンの双子の妹です。初めてお会いしますね。こんにちは。
Oishi looked perplexed, like he didn't believe what I'd said. He frowned.
園崎美音さんに双子の妹がいたなんて初めて知りましたよ。あんた大人をからかってんの？
からかってなんかないですよ。どうぞ戸籍でも何でも調べてみてください。それともお姉を呼んで二人で並んでみせれば信じます？
All the cops looked bewildered now.
園崎シオンさん？
はい。シオンですが、何か？
あんたにもちょっと来てもらってもいいですかね。あんたが園崎シオンさんで北条さんと一緒におられたって言うんなら、あんたにも話を聞かせてもらいたいもんです。
ええ、望むところです。お手柔らかによろしくお願いいたします。
The cops gathered at their car and started discussing something. Looked like they never expected this to happen. Who would expect that, like a person has a twin, right? If they haven't seen it. I hope to be able to fake Satoshi-kun's alibi for at least a little while. Like they've known Mion for sure for a long time, and now someone is saying that she's Mion's twin. What are you gonna believe?
サトシ君、何を聞かれてもエンジェルモートで私とおしゃべりをして過ごしていたと言い張ってください。私が何とかしますから。何を聞かれてもよく覚えていないとか、サトシ君なら下手なことは言わず黙り込んだ方が無難かもです。
Satoshi-kun wore a startled expression. Though I was telling him something important, he'd apparently decided not to listen.
サトシ君、聞いてます？ここでしっかりしないと刑事たちの思うツボです。
He must have been feeling deceived. No wonder. I just confessed that I wasn't Mion but her twin sister. I really had been deceiving him.
怒ってます？
なんで？
騙してて。
He's laughing. Satoshi-kun started laughing. I didn't know why he'd laugh. Because he wasn't the type of person who would laugh in order to hide something.
たまに教室のミオンと話が食い合わないことがあったから違和感は感じてたんだ。やっとわかったよ。
怒らないでくれるんですか？騙してたこと。
Satoshi-kun looked puzzled. It was like he didn't know whether he should be upset about it or not. Or maybe he was only pretending to be that way.
はじめまして。じゃないんだよね。
はい、そうなります。
そっか。シオンってどう書くの？
詩を読むの詩に音でシオンです。
シオン。いい名前だね。
じゃあお二人さん、すみませんが署までご同行願いますかね。粉末でよければコーヒーか紅茶かくらいは選べますよ。
Okay. Damn, Shion revealed herself. This is gonna have, yeah, as she said, this is gonna have a lot of consequences for sure, right? You will see. Notebook 29. Because, Grandma, the old hag, doesn't want people knowing about her, I suppose. Either Satoshi-kun was smart or very lucky, or maybe it wasn't him. The police found nothing at the crime scene to indicate his involvement in the murder. Yet, Satoshi-kun was still the prime suspect. Considering his own home environment, he had a strong enough motive. He had no alibi. The police had everything other than physical evidence. It wasn't surprising that Oishi took a chance. He probably didn't expect me to step in, but what I did was too little to avert his suspicion of Satoshi-kun. Oishi believed that Satoshi-kun did it. He was waiting for Satoshi-kun to fall apart and confess. That's what both Oishi and I were thinking. But that hypothesis was destroyed later on. I'll not talk about it now, but Oishi's theory will be disproven and the police will be thrown into shock. A question comes to mind, that is, who saved Satoshi-kun? I can only think of the possibility that the Sonozaki family invented the culprit. Oh, yeah. Because they found out it was a drug addict or something like that, right? That did it. Okay. So yes, we finished our episode today. So this time, Satoshi really did it. Or they didn't really show it because yeah, we're in the perspective of Shion, right? But he did it already. Day of the Watanagashi festival. His aunt, he baited him, or baited her, I mean. Just like how Keiichi baited the uncle in his part like a year later, right? And then, how do you call this? Shion revealed herself. Finally. I guess now she can walk around now. But there's gonna be consequences for this for sure. For her and I guess Kasai and the uncle as well, right? The uncle in Angel Mort? Yeah, all of them. Because yeah, of what Shion did, or what Shion did. She revealed herself, so we'll see. I guess maybe next episode. I mean, Satoshi hasn't disappeared yet. He is gonna disappear on Satoko's birthday, right? So maybe next episode, it's gonna be the time when Satoshi disappears, right? We'll see. So yes, we're gonna continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Meakashi, in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.